Amina Cole thought she had it all under control until a single night turned her world upside down. Betrayed by colleagues, tangled in scandal, and facing an unexpected pregnancy, Amina must fight for her career, her reputation, and her heart. With powerful enemies lurking and a secretive billionaire refusing to let her go, will Amina rise above the storm or lose everything she fought for? Her journey is fierce, emotional, and unforgettable. Where are you watching from today? Drop your city in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to catch the next chapter of this breathtaking story. The ballroom of the Regent Hotel shimmered like a dream, a palace of gold and light carved against the dark Seattle sky. Swarovski crystal chandeliers scattered prisms across the polished marble floors, and the scent of white gardenias and expensive ambition floated in the air. Amina Cole stood just inside the grand archway, clutching her clutch a little too tightly, her heart hammering beneath the midnight blue folds of her Ralph Lauren gown. She had fought her way to this moment, from the cracked sidewalks of Oakland to the very edge of a deal that could catapult luminary tech into the stratosphere. Tonight's gala wasn't just a party. It was a battleground dressed in satin. Venture capitalists, tech moguls, and innovation gurus filled the space, their laughter chiming like silver bells over the low hum of a jazz quartet playing Fly Me to the Moon. Amina sipped her Veuve Clicquot champagne, the bubbles sharp against her tongue as she scanned the crowd, searching for her next move. Her heels, shimmering Louboutins, clicked softly as she made her way past glittering clusters of the city's elite. Somewhere in this sea of power brokers was her target, one handshake away from signing Luminary's biggest contract yet with Helix Innovations. Amina, darling. A voice as sweet as poison drifted toward her. Sienna Park appeared, sleek in a silver Dior sheath dress, her smile gleaming with carefully concealed malice. You look breathtaking. Nervous, though? She added, her eyes glinting under the chandelier's light. Amina smiled tightly. Excited, actually. It's a big night. She raised her glass in mock toast and drifted away before Sienna's barbs could dig any deeper. She'd learned long ago not to waste energy sparring with snakes. As she crossed the ballroom, she felt the champagne fog her head, just slightly. She needed a moment, a breath. She slipped toward the elevators, her gown trailing like spilled ink across the marble. Maybe a quick reset in her suite before diving back into the lion's den. She jabbed the elevator button, impatient, then rode it up to the 14th floor, where her room supposedly awaited. The hallway was a cocoon of muted golds and soft carpets, and she squinted at the brass numbers, 1406, 1408. She slid the keycard into the slot, heard the soft click, and pushed the door open. The suite exploded around her in a blur of opulence. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing the glittering skyline, a marble bar cart stocked with crystal decanters, a Tiffany lamp casting pools of honeyed light onto Robuboy's furniture. Amina stumbled a step inside, the door swinging closed behind her. She frowned. This didn't feel right. Her room was nice, sure, but this was another universe. Then she saw him. A man stood by the windows, the city's lights framing him like a painting. His tuxedo, ink black and devastatingly tailored, molded to broad shoulders and a lean, powerful frame. His hair was a tousled crown of dark waves, and his hazel eyes locked onto hers with a sharp, amused gleam. For a heartbeat, neither spoke. Then he took a step forward, the subtle scent of Creta Ventus, smoke, leather, danger, hitting her senses all at once. His voice was low, smooth, and dangerously unbothered. "Can I help you?" Panic flared in Amina's chest. "Oh my God," she gasped, clutching her clutch tighter. "I'm sorry, I thought this was my room." Her voice, usually so crisp and commanding, wavered like a freshman at her first board meeting. She fumbled in her bag and yanked out a crumpled $100 bill, thrusting it toward him. "Here, for the trouble. Please forget you ever saw me." His smirk deepened as he crossed the space between them in 3 easy strides, the room somehow shrinking with each step. He plucked the bill from her hand, his fingers brushing hers with a jolt of electricity that rocketed up her spine. "You think I'm the help?" he asked, mock offense glittering in his eyes. Amina's cheeks burned hot enough to light the room. "I know. I didn't mean it like that. I'm just—" she stammered, mortified beyond belief. He chuckled, low and rich, and her heart, traitorous thing, skipped a beat. "Relax, mystery woman," he said. You're not the first to get lost tonight." Before she could respond, her heel caught on the thick Persian rug. She stumbled, arms flailing, and he caught her, strong hands steadying her waist, pulling her close enough that she could feel the heat of his body, the rapid thud of her own heart against his chest. Their eyes locked. And for one wild, reckless moment, the world outside the penthouse suite disappeared entirely. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the glass walls of Luminary Tech's Pioneer Square office, catching on the steel and glass like fire. Amina Cole sat at the head of the long conference table, her Michael Kors blazer sharp against her deep brown skin, her nerves tightly coiled beneath the surface. The Vertex pitch was today, and no amount of Starbucks espresso could quiet the thundering of her heart. She tucked a stray curl behind her ear and checked her slides one last time. They were perfect. Months of strategy, late nights, and sheer willpower packed into a campaign so bold it could change everything for Luminary. She couldn't afford distractions. Not the tingling memory of the man from the penthouse, not the way his hands had felt wrapped around her waist, steadying her, setting her on fire. The conference room buzzed with anticipation. Executives shuffled papers, assistants set up laptops, the hum of whispered conversations filling the air. Amina straightened her spine just as the glass doors swung open, and her breath caught. There he was, striding into the room like he owned it, clad in a tailored navy Tom Ford suit that fit his body like a second skin. His dark hair was swept back, those unforgettable hazel eyes scanning the room with sharp, effortless command. And when they landed on her for just a second, a flicker of amusement danced there, like they shared a secret no one else could touch. A name badge pinned to his jacket read, "Grayson Holt, Helix Innovations." Amina's blood turned to ice. The mystery man wasn't some hotel guest. He was Helix's representative, the man she was pitching to, the man who could make or break everything she had built. She forced her expression into the perfect mask of professionalism, even as panic stormed inside her. Her colleague, a wiry strategist named Ben, leaned toward her and whispered, "That's Grayson Holt, Helix's new VP of Strategic Partnerships. Heard he's practically running the place." Amina nodded stiffly, trying not to look as if the ground had just shifted under her. Grayson took a seat at the end of the table, his posture relaxed, but his gaze razor-sharp. "Looking forward to hearing what Luminary has cooked up," he said, his voice that same velvet steel she remembered from last night. Amina cleared her throat and stood, commanding the room with a poise she didn't feel. "Good morning, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. Today I'm excited to present Luminary's vision for launching Helix's newest AI platform." She launched into the pitch, her voice steady, her gestures smooth. Slides flashed on the 4K projector, visionary, dynamic, disruptive. She spoke about viral campaigns, social listening, tech innovation woven into cultural touchstones. As she moved through the presentation, she could feel Grayson's eyes on her, heavy and assessing, making her skin prickle in ways both thrilling and distracting. Halfway through, Sienna Park interrupted, her voice syrupy. "Those ideas are certainly ambitious," she said, her Chanel bracelet flashing under the lights. "But some of us believe Helix might prefer a safer, more traditional approach." Amina smiled coolly. "Safe doesn't change the world, Sienna. Innovation does." Several executives chuckled under their breath. Grayson's lips quirked, like he was fighting a smile. She wrapped up the pitch to scattered applause. Grayson leaned back in his chair, studying her for a beat too long before speaking. "Impressive," he said. "Very impressive, Miss Cole." A ripple of relief swept through her chest, but she buried it deep. This wasn't the time to bask. It was the time to close. "Thank you," she replied, meeting his gaze head-on. As the meeting dissolved into handshakes and promises of follow-ups, Sienna sidled up to her, voice low. "Careful, Amina. You're making too many waves. Someone might decide to drown you." Amina didn't flinch. "I've been swimming with sharks my whole life. Let them try." Later that night, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Grayson, dinner? Strictly business. Unless you'd prefer otherwise." Amina stared at the message, her heart hammering. "Business. Right." She typed back before she could second-guess herself. 7 p.m. "Canless? Let's see what you're really about, Mr. Holt." And just like that, the line between danger and desire blurred even more. Canless shimmered like a hidden jewel perched above the twinkling lights of Lake Union. all sleek mid-century elegance and soft jazz notes floating through the air. Amina arrived a few minutes early, her Diane von Furstenberg wrap dress hugging her curves, her nerves hidden behind a practiced, confident smile. She told herself this was just business, just a strategy dinner. Nothing more. When Grayson arrived, shedding his Tom Ford jacket and flashing that devastating, knowing smile, she knew she was lying to herself. They slid into a booth by the window, candlelight flickering between them. Amina ordered sparkling water. Grayson a glass of red wine that caught the light like liquid rubies. They talked first about the campaign, about tech trends, about growth projections, professional, safe. But as the meal stretched on, the air between them shifted, thickened, charged with the memory of that first night, of his hands around her waist, of the way he looked at her like he was memorizing every detail. "You clean up well, Miss Cole," he said, swirling his wine. His hazel eyes gleamed mischievously. "Almost makes me forget you tried to bribe me." Amina smirked, swirling her water in return. "Almost makes me forget you let me think you were a bellhop." He laughed, a rich, warm sound that made her stomach flip. For a moment, she let herself relax into it. The effortless chemistry between them, the way conversations slid from sharp to teasing to dangerously intimate without warning. When they stepped out into the cool Seattle night, the city glittering around them, Grayson offered his hand. Against her better judgment, Amina took it, the warmth of his palm sending a jolt up her arm. They walked along the water, silent at first, the only sounds the lapping of the lake and the muted hum of the city. Then Grayson stopped and turned to her, his expression serious. "I haven't been able to stop thinking about you," he said, voice low, "since that night." Amina's breath caught. The urge to lean into him was almost overwhelming and terrifying. She pulled her hand from his and stepped back, needing space, needing clarity. "Grayson," she said, her voice steady despite the whirlwind inside her. Whatever this is, it's dangerous. You're Helix, I'm Luminary. Our careers are on the line." He stepped closer, undeterred. "I don't care about titles or politics. I care about you." Before she could answer, before she could even think, he leaned in, slow and deliberate, giving her every chance to pull away. But she didn't. Couldn't. Their lips met, soft at first, then deeper, fiercer, a collision of pent-up longing and reckless hope. The world spun around them, the distant honk of a ferry, the ripple of water against the dock, the rush of blood in her ears. Amina clutched the lapel of his jacket, anchoring herself against the madness spiraling inside her. When they finally broke apart, breathing hard, Grayson rested his forehead against hers. "This isn't over," he whispered. "Not even close." The next morning back at Luminary, Amina's world began to tilt for reasons far more sinister than stolen kisses. She arrived early, her Tesla humming into the underground garage, feeling lighter than she had in months, until she booted up her laptop and watched in horror as her screen flickered and froze. All her Vertex pitch files, gone, corrupted beyond recovery. Her heart slammed against her ribs as she called IT. The tech's face was grim. "Looks like a targeted breach," he said. "We're investigating, but someone wanted you off your game." Her stomach sank. It didn't take a genius to know who was behind it. Sienna Park breezed by, her silver Prada heels clicking smugly, her voice dripping fake sympathy. "Tech problems, Amina. Such a shame. Hope it doesn't affect the big deal." Amina forced a tight smile, fury burning under her skin. "Don't worry, Sienna," she said sweetly. "I always have a backup plan." But as she hurried to the backup servers and found them wiped too, cold realization set in. She was walking into the most important meeting of her career completely exposed. And somewhere in the pit of her stomach, a deeper dread stirred. The dizzy spells, the nausea, the exhaustion. Something was wrong, and it had nothing to do with the files. The clinic smelled of antiseptic and fresh paper. A sterile, humming world far removed from the chaos swallowing Amina Cole's life. She sat stiffly in the waiting room, her wrap coat draped across her lap, hands clenched so tightly her knuckles whitened. A nurse called her name, and Amina followed on legs that barely felt connected to her body. Minutes later, a kind-eyed doctor closed the door behind them and sat across from her, her voice gentle but firm. "Miss Cole, we ran some tests based on your symptoms." Amina's heart pounded against her ribs, a frantic, wild drum. "You're pregnant," the doctor said softly. "About 6 weeks along." The words shattered over her like broken glass. Pregnant. She blinked, sure she had misheard, but the certainty in the doctor's face left no room for doubt. Images flashed across her mind, her career, her name already dragged through the mud by Sienna's anonymous posts, the Vertex deal teetering on the brink. And Grayson. That night at the Regent, the connection that had been more than accidental, more than fleeting, her fingers trembled where they rested in her lap. She swallowed hard. I can't have time for this right now. The doctor's smile was understanding but firm. You have time to decide what's best for you. No rush, no pressure. But the pressure was already a living, breathing thing, coiling tight around her. Numb, Amina drifted out of the clinic into the overcast Seattle afternoon, her thoughts a chaotic, whirling storm. She slid into her Tesla, the world outside fogged and distant. Hands shaking, she dialed the only person who'd ever been her anchor. Isha, she whispered when her best friend picked up. I'm pregnant. There was a long beat of stunned silence. Then, Isha's warm voice wrapped around her like a lifeline. Breathe, girl, just breathe. We're gonna figure this out. Amina squeezed her eyes shut against the sting. I can't. It's too much. The scandal at work, the pitch, Grayson. The hotel guy? Isha interrupted, her voice sharp now. The one who kissed you senseless? Amina gave a broken laugh. Yeah, him, Grayson Holt. Only he's not just some guy. He's running Vertex's whole deal, and I barely even know who he really is. Then maybe, Isha said, voice fierce with love, you find out. You don't have to do this alone. Not ever. Later that day, Amina returned to Luminary Tech, her stomach churning with more than morning sickness. She pushed through the glass doors into the conference room, the walls gleaming with rain and the scent of fresh espresso filling the air. She had no slides, no backup, no support, but she had herself. Straightening her spine, she faced the Vertex team, and Grayson, sitting at the head of the table, watching her with an unreadable expression. She launched into her pitch without technology, painting the future with nothing but her voice and conviction. She spoke of market disruption, of human connection, of a bold new narrative for AI. Her words were fire, slicing through doubt and rumor like a blade. Sienna tried to interrupt, her tone dripping with false concern. Ambitious ideas, Amina, but maybe Vertex would prefer something safer. Amina smiled, her voice cool and cutting. Innovation isn't born from playing it safe, it's born from audacity. Grayson's lips twitched like he was suppressing a smile, but his nod was slight and approving. The pitch ended. Applause filled the room, hesitant at first, then stronger. As the team filtered out, Amina moved toward the door, her hands steady even as her heart wobbled. Grayson caught her gaze, something electric passing between them, a question, a plea, but she turned away before he could speak. Outside, the rain slicked the sidewalks, and Amina tilted her face to the gray sky, letting the cold drops wash over her. She had a baby growing inside her, a career hanging by a thread, and a man who could be either her salvation or her ruin. And she hadn't even begun to fight yet. The next morning, Luminary Tech's boardroom felt like a battlefield, the walls of glass reflecting a gray Seattle sky heavy with rain. Amina Cole stood at the front of the room, her theory jumpsuit sharp against her skin, her heart pounding like a drum. On the screen behind her, a single slide blazed to life. The truth. Her fingers didn't shake. She wouldn't give them the satisfaction. I stand before you today not to defend rumors, but to dismantle lies, she said, her voice cutting through the murmurs. The accusations against me were fabricated, and I have proof. Gasps rippled through the room as she clicked through the slides, screenshots of emails Leo Martinez had recovered from Sienna Park's laptop, showing her orchestrating the data breach, manipulating the anonymous posts on X, and bribing Leo to sabotage Amina's presentation. The evidence was undeniable, a noose tightening around Sienna's perfect Dior-clad image. Across the table, Sienna's face paled. She stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. This is a setup, she cried. Amina's twisting everything. The board chair, an immovable woman named Marjorie Grant, raised a hand for silence. Miss Park, she said coolly, you are terminated effective immediately. Security will escort you out. As the guards approached, Sienna shot Amina a glare sharp enough to cut glass. This isn't over, she hissed, her heels clacking furiously against the marble floor as she was led away. Amina exhaled, the adrenaline crashing through her like a rogue wave. Around her, the room shifted, board members murmuring apologies, offering nods of respect. Marjorie Grant stepped forward. "Miss Cole, Luminary Tech owes you an apology," she said, "and a congratulations. Effective immediately, you are promoted to Vice President of Global Marketing." Applause followed, but Amina barely heard it. Her gaze flicked across the room to where Grayson stood, silent but beaming with pride. Their eyes locked, and for the first time in days, Amina allowed herself a small, real smile. Later that evening, she found herself back at the Nest, the rooftop bar where the rain misted gently over the city and the soft jazz curled through the cool air. She needed space, to breathe, to think. She was halfway through her non-alcoholic elderflower spritz when Grayson appeared, his Tom Ford jacket slung casually over one shoulder, his eyes finding her like a beacon through the haze. "You were magnificent today," he said, sliding into the seat across from her. "Thank you," she said softly, fiddling with her glass. "But it's not over. My life, it's different now, complicated." "I know," he said, "and I'm here for all of it." She stared at him, heart thudding. "You don't know everything, Grayson." He leaned forward, his voice low. "Then tell me." Amina took a breath, the words heavy but ready. "I'm pregnant, 6 weeks, and it's yours." For a moment, the world went still. The city lights blurred behind him, the sound of rain softened to a hush. Then he stood, came around to her side, and knelt by her chair. "You think that scares me?" he asked, his voice rough with emotion. "You and that baby, you're my whole future, Amina." Tears burned behind her eyes, but she blinked them away. "I need more than promises. I need actions. I need to know you're not going to disappear the minute things get hard." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. Not a ring, but a delicate Tiffany pendant, a silver star. "For now," he said, fastening it around her neck, "a promise, not of perfection, but of standing beside you through every storm." Amina touched the star, feeling the cool weight against her skin, her heart trembling. "Okay," she whispered. Grayson smiled, pulling her into a fierce, steady hug. Above them, the city hummed, alive with new beginnings. Across town in a quiet cafe, Leo Martinez smiled as he scrolled through the headlines. Amina Cole clears her name, secures Vertex deal. Justice, finally. For Amina, the fight wasn't over, but tonight she wasn't fighting alone. She was shining, brighter than ever. In life, our greatest battles often come when we least expect them. Amina Cole's journey reminds us that resilience isn't just about standing tall when the world cheers for you. It's about standing even taller when the world tries to tear you down. She faced betrayal, humiliation, and unexpected challenges that could have broken her spirit, but instead, she chose to fight for her truth, her future, and her self-worth. This story teaches us that no matter how fierce the storm, staying true to who you are is your greatest weapon. People may try to discredit you, to sabotage your dreams, but their actions cannot define your worth. Only you can. It's about knowing your value even when others try to diminish it. It's about having the courage to trust yourself, to rebuild from ashes, and to choose love, not just from others, but also for yourself. Amina's strength came not from never being afraid, but from moving forward despite her fear. Her success wasn't given, it was fought for, day after day, choice after choice. Her story is a powerful reminder. You don't need anyone's permission to shine. And when the right people find you, the ones who see your fire, not your flaws, they will stand beside you, no matter what. Where are you watching from today? We'd love to hear your story too. Drop your location in the comments. And if Amina's journey inspired you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another powerful story of resilience, love, and triumph. Let's keep shining together, no matter how dark the storm may get.